fellow parents. And today is going to be a really special, pretty unique episode. We're going to talk about a topic that affects all of us, that impacts all of us, that's impacting our children. And I think it's a topic that's not really talked about. The original plan for today's episode was just like Jordan and I were just going to be two dads, two parents, just kind of rapping about Google Chromebooks, school issued Chromebooks, school issued laptops. Just talk about, how we feel about them, the impacts we're seeing with our kids with them. But then kind of what happened was earlier this morning, I started doing some, Googling on the topic and even some chat GPTing on the topic. And I just kind of went on this rabbit hole and it just kept going deeper and deeper. I was actually late to meet up with Jordan to record this episode because I just kind of like found all this really interesting stuff. So it's kind of like, welcome. You're just welcome to our living room. Jordan and I are just going to talk about how we feel about these things, how our wives feel about them. We're going to tell some stories, and we're just going to hang out and talk about how to really thrive as parents in an age of school-issued Chromebooks, computers, and iPads. Is that something good intro, Jordan?
I think it's great. I mean, a lot of us are just, thrown into this school-age world where, like, the school Y and Z, and we just follow along. Mm-hmm. But little do we ask ourselves, like, is this okay for my child? And I remember asking, I was talking to a buddy, he was giving his kids, I think it was either a YouTube account or it was a cell phone. He's like, listen, he's like, I'm going to put parameters on this, but this is their world. This is and they've got to learn to navigate it. And I was like, man, this could be really bad. But like, for you, why did you want this topic? Have you been thrown into this idea or do you have friends that are bumping up to you?
So, first of all, everyone, Jordan and I did very little preparation for this episode. I didn't know he was going to ask me that question. I prepared a bunch of stats and stories for Jordan, which he doesn't know. So everything is just on the fly. So I went to a wedding in Lake Tahoe over the weekend. Okay. My wife, Danielle's her childhood friend, Sarah. She's our age. And Sarah Higgins got married. She's 47 years old. She got married for the first time.
Wow.
Right? Usually people... that's pretty rare, right? Usually at age 47, you're in your maybe second marriage. It was just a gorgeous ceremony. Congratulations to Sarah and Michael. And the table that we were sitting at was with some of Danielle's, or with some of Sarah's childhood friends.
Okay.
And Danielle was one of them. And so we were sitting across from a teacher, a first grade teacher.
Okay.
And somehow this topic came up because I think maybe they were asking me about my career. And she said, yeah, I'm a first grade teacher. And then I asked her, hey, what's your guys' policy on school-issued computers? Because I'm just curious. Because,
Sure.
I hate them. I don't believe in them. I think they're garbage. And she, to my surprise, Jordan, she says, oh, my gosh, our school district issues iPads to every child, including first graders. First grade teacher proceeded to just tell me about how all the first grade teachers at her school were kind of rallying. They all agreed. They said, hey, they sent a message to all the parents. They said, hey, take those iPads, put them up in the closet, let them collect dust for the whole year, and then return them at the end of the year. And so shout out to first grade teachers of Elk Grove School District. And so it just kind of intrigued me and like made me asking her more questions about why they were doing that. And then they started asking me questions. We were standing in line for the buffet, Jordan, and I was ready to get my salmon. And one of the moms at my table turned to me and said, well, Sean, what's wrong with the school issued computer? And I turned to her and I had a super serious look. I said, how much time do you have? And so, it just kind of made me think like, hey, let's talk about this topic that's super important. It affects all of us. And just get your opinion on it and just to be helpful to help other parents.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear what you found because, I mean, the reality is we're in this new digital world. And when I look back, I was asking my son the other day because he has one. We get issued, our iPads, and we can talk about that story in a minute. But I was like, hey, when you take notes, how are you taking notes? He's like, just type them up on my computer. We've done studies on how retaining information is when we write something down, pen and paper, it gets in a lot easier. Is it the same when we're typing it? And I don't know if it is the same. And I think a lot of studies are going to come out about what kind of learning is better. Old school pen and paper, typing.
I mean, that's kind of why I was late to this podcast because I started like wondering and Googling, is there any research done on this? And like, how is it working? it's clearly causing problems, tons of problems in homes. So like, is it worth it? Are we gonna go back in time? Or are there going to be superintendent school boards being like, okay, we made a big mistake, we're getting rid of them? I don't know. That's why I'm just talking to you about it, because I want to get your opinion and
But
take
isn't
on
that
it.
what's happening with cell phones? Remember, they allowed phones in schools, and now they're saying no.
Right. Are we going to do that with the school issued iPad? Right. Are they,
Right.
where's the evidence? So I did find some research that I want to share with you. So overall, I mean, I don't know if you're ready to answer this question now, but in your home with your 3 kids, has it been a okay experience having school issued computers? Has it been a challenge? Like, what's the vibe of your house in your school district?
All right, so let's play this out for a second. We had one family issued iPad, all right, probably for the last year. The state we're at now is that iPad broke 3 months ago. We have not fixed it, okay? The fighting that would come around the iPad was driving me crazy. So I'm like, I'm not even fixing this thing. Now we just started school within the first week, and now they have these new school issued iPads. And so far, so good. But we've already had problems at the school. Mass emails have come out. We've caught the kids, they want to talk to each other. So back in the day, me and you, we'd write a note, we'd fold it up, and we'd try to sneak it over to you, right? Now, with these iPads, they're using Microsoft Teams to communicate with each other. I mean, they're going advanced. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. You guys are learning how to use Microsoft Teams. You're not using it in the right way, but wow, kudos to you. So it's a completely new digital world, and even the teachers are getting in trouble if they're not really pursuing the kids and making sure that they're not doing anything outside of learning.
Oh my gosh. So the teachers are now babysitters. They're narcs.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're getting already, the school just started, and you've gotten emails from teachers being like, talk to your child about not going on any other websites.
So at my school, at our school, the teachers have given us these iPads, and we've already, gone through about a week now with the iPads. But if you go back in time for a second, we had a family iPad, right? Okay. One iPad. The thing broke 3 months ago. I've chosen to fix it. That thing's causing so many problems. Like, we're not even fixing this thing because it drives me. Now the school has sent us, but I just don't know, like you said, how it's going to work long term. We've already had a company-wide or a school-wide email with kids who have already gotten in trouble. How did we pass notes as kids?
Yeah, old school. Just here you
Old
go,
school.
talking to each other.
Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe, circle one, right? Nowadays, it's done through Microsoft Teams, right? Like, these kids are finding creative ways to communicate with each other. And the hard part is, like, how do you make sure that they're doing schoolwork on something where they have access to the World Wide Web? That's got to be impossible.
Oh my gosh. Impossible. Teachers are supposed to teach, not be digital narcs or cops. Right. And that's like putting a bunch of candy underneath a child's bed and be like, all right, hey, I trust you. Don't eat that candy. Don't even look at it. Don't think about it. Right. This just sounds like a disaster. This is why we're having this conversation. We got to talk about this. We got to bring more exposure, more awareness, and I want to help. All right. I found some cool things. Can I share some things with you that I found really interesting? Yes. Okay. Back in 2015, how many classrooms do you think had Google Chromebooks in them? That's 10 years ago, 5 years before the pandemic. Where were you, and how old was your child 10 years ago?
10% or less.
All right. At that time, Google Chromebooks make up half of U.S. classrooms.
Okay, so
devices
50%. Okay, that's still a lot. That's a lot. I was going to say 10%.
A lot.
Okay.
A lot. All right. Now, where are we at? What began with after that, it rose to 82%. 2019 surged to nearly universal, what's called one-to-one development in most districts in 24 and 25. So what we're looking at now is somewhere around 88% to 95% is what we found.
All right. So we're in a tech-driven world. Let's say me and you, parents at home, we don't agree. We're like, no, our kids, this is not the best way. This is bad for them. How am I supposed to go to the school and say, sorry, I don't want you teaching my kid this way. They need to go to school with a pen and paper, and that is it, and maybe a calculator. Like, what are we supposed to do as parents?
I know. I have some ideas on that, but the issue is so big. It's so big.
Dude, I've written the superintendent before. I've actually sent an email and saying, hey, can you get these cell phones out of the classroom? And now they've done it. I don't want to say it's because of my email, but really it's because of my email.
Well,
but the
yes.
reality is,
Well, that's one
a lot
action
of
step.
people are doing that. Yeah, good.
So Jonathan Haidt, in my opinion, he's the leader we've all been waiting for. He actually has been on a podcast tour for like 2 years. His book is The Anxious Generation. And that's one of the things he says to do is contact your principals and your superintendent. Said, please take these phones out of schools. Now, also what Jonathan Haidt talks about is this. The research has shown is that kids have become stupider since 2012. That's
Are you serious?
his word. Stupider since 2012. Their brains, their scores since 2012.
I believe it. I mean, you got to think about where we've been and what we've been doing. Nowadays, we can't keep kids' attention longer than 30 seconds.
Okay, everyone, listen to this. Here's a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast episode on this topic. These iPads have been around, and these Google Chromebooks have been around for a long time. But were you aware, everybody, were you aware that for many years, most of the years of the school-issued Chromebook, that parents were not able to put parental restrictions onto these computers? Did you all know that? Jordan, did you know that?
What do you mean? So what we got at our house, it was just free for all. We couldn't come in and connect, like put in our own restrictions at all.
Correct. I've been here since the beginning of this. For many years, going back 15 years ago when this first started, I'm going to repeat myself. The Google Chromebook was not allowing any parental restrictions, and they gave children a generation of millennials, these school-issued Chromebooks, they sent them home with no ability to put family link or parental restrictions on them. Can you believe that?
I could anticipate or assume then that they were getting a whole bunch of children looking at naughty websites and going and talking to people they shouldn't have been talking to, cheating on tests. I mean, it was like the Wild West.
We're talking like probably over 1 billion children have grown up this way. Why do you think the Google Chromebook didn't allow parents to block YouTube? What's your theory? Why would they not allow to block
Because
YouTube?
Google owns YouTube.
Correct.
And so they want you on YouTube.
It's a money grab. How do you think that Google was able to convince school districts to purchase
That's what I want to know.
all these things?
Here's what I really want to know. Aren't these school districts out of money? We have no money. How are they paying for all these Chromebooks?
Right.
We can't even afford pens and pencils. I've got to come to the table every year and fork out $300 in supplies for my kids each. And yet they're supplied Chromebooks and iPads. Where is that money coming from?
Maybe Google knows what they're doing, and these companies know what they're doing, and they're like, this is how we make money, is by selling these low-cost computers. But here's some good news, everybody. In 2021, the Google Chromebook was able to use Family Link, and YouTube-specific supervised access was added around 2021. So good news. You can now block websites and time limits on your child's Google Chromebook. It's there now. But how many parents do you think don't even know this exists or don't even know how to set it up?
I'll raise my hand right now. I have no idea.
You're highly educated, highly intelligent, highly connected. You have a parenting podcast, and you weren't even aware of this. You never got an email from the school saying, hey, everyone, every parent, watch this video. This is what we need you to do. We need you to put this Family Link on the Chromebook or on the iPad, and we need you to do X, Y, and Z. No one's ever telling us this. Isn't this interesting? It's like a big conspiracy. A couple questions for you is one, when your kids, they have their iPads, are they allowed to bring them home, or do they stay at the...
They're required to bring them home because they have to do homework on them.
So are there any restrictions on those iPads? Are they they're Apple iPads?
Yes, they also come with a keyboard, and the restriction is you can only do schoolwork. You are not allowed to
Okay.
search the web for anything. You're not allowed to download anything. You're not allowed to watch
Yeah.
YouTube. You're not allowed to do anything except schoolwork.
Have you tested them out? Have you been to like, did you type in like
No.
YouTube or Playboy, or did
No,
you,
no. I
did
won't.
you try?
No, that's like going to work and being on my work computer and trying that. I'm not going to do that. I don't want a footprint of like me looking at
Yeah.
some of the,
So,
are
but
you
hold
saying
on, so you're just telling me, okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
You're just telling me that they're not filtered. Like the children can go and look at anything and then just delete the history and no one would ever know. There's nothing.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know. Why haven't you just try it? Why don't you go to like, I don't know, ESPN.com or go to ABC.com, Hulu.com. Why don't
Sure.
you
I'm sure I can do that, but I will try that. Okay.
Yeah, come back and tell me what happens.
All right. I'm assuming you can go to the, like my company's got a strict firewall, and I can't even go to websites that are church related, that are weapons related. I don't know what kind of firewalls these schools have, and protections that these schools have. But I mean, you could go to the library and even look at naughty websites.
This seems like just a great action step for you and for everyone. Go on your children's school-issued computer and poke around. Okay. Find out what's going on. Okay. Look at their history. Right? Doesn't that seem...
That seems like I'm snooping on my kids, but you know what? I think we ought to.
Really? That's the thing. It feels like it's snooping on your kids.
Like, would you check your daughter's phone and open it up and look at their...
Yes.
To stay in there? Are they...
Yes.
Is their privacy important?
Right. Well, no. You don't have privacy. If you want privacy, then go to Target and buy a journal for $9.95.
Okay, I have a story. So I just met with my, I just had like a haircut. When you're getting a haircut, you're talking to your haircut. Anyway,
Yeah.
She has been telling me about this guy she's dating, and she's like, yeah, we just started out. They're a little older, but he has a daughter, and the daughter's 12. Okay. And she tells me, my hairstylist is like, well, the daughter is telling me things that she won't even tell her dad. I'm like, really? Like what? Well, like she has a secret TikTok that he doesn't know about.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, really? And this is part of that conversation we're having. To him, it's, oh, my daughter goes in her room. I'm a single dad. I don't have, my wife's not here. It's just me and her. And she needs her privacy. She's a little girl going through puberty. Like, I'm giving her privacy in her bedroom, but he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So what's too far? What's not enough? There's the balance that's so tough to read.
Well, I mean, my advice, I don't know how old this girl is, but this is exactly like that story right there is like the root of our problem. Yeah. I mean, so many bad things will happen and are happening with that child in her phone all by herself on TikTok. That's what all the stats say. That's what I believe. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Or do you think there's a chance that girl is making healthy choices on TikTok, healthy regulation with time, looking at good things and making good choices? Do you think there's a chance of that?
No, I mean, I think no matter what, when we are led into temptation will win at some point. Even if you're the best person in the world, right? We all have flaws, and we're all going to click on something. We're all going to go down a rabbit hole maybe we shouldn't have, right? But how do we navigate a high-tech world? Right. That's like, dude, that's like when the internet came out and schools were like, we're just gonna rate books, and you're not gonna go online. But nowadays it's like all about web browsing and searching and doing history. And we used to look at encyclopedias. So with this new age, well, how are we supposed to navigate that?
Well, I have a lot of advice on that, and I know you do too. So I'll share some advice, and then I'd love to hear your advice. Okay, here's some quick advice for me. One is, if you have, you can read my free ebook, everybody. It's called How to Break Screen Addiction and Stop It Before It Starts. It's 100 pages. It's filled with a ton of great ideas. Here's one great idea. I feel like I see the future. I can see the future, Jordan. It's right here. It's crystal clear. Can I tell you what I'm seeing?
Yes, please.
I'm seeing the school-only computer. As in the future, there will be computers for learning, but they will be totally locked down, and they'll be only for school. So there will be no YouTube. There will be no ESPN. There will be no Playboy. There'll be no porn. There'll be no Snapchat. It's only for school, and it's going to exist soon. And the good news is that you don't have to wait for this to be invented by Samsung or by Apple. Is that you, my fellow parent, you can create this today. You can either go and put a family link on that school issued Chromebook. You can put a great third-party app like Bark or Aura or Net Nanny onto a computer, and you say, child, this is your school-only computer, and you're not allowed to bring it into your bedroom. I have many, many more ideas, but what do you think about that?
I like that idea, but I'm also going to throw in
Do it.
the future. I mean, we're going to be talking about Neuralink, Google Glass. You can wear contacts now that give you answers to things. There are little pins you can put on your lapel that looks like a button, and it's got a camera. Dude, the tech is so crazy. I don't think we're ever going to stop cheating, and we're ever going to stop some of this, hardcore tech-driven stuff. But I think what you're saying is we as parents can navigate around that, and just, it's not about the tech, right? Like you said, it's not about what it's about, right? Kids are always going to find ways to do things. But if we can tell them the right and the wrong, then maybe they'll choose not to do the wrong.
We can't control like artists, media companies, music, TV, internet companies, but we can control what we bring into our home. So another piece of advice is to do what Jonathan Haidt is telling us all to do. His 4 new norms. One is no cell phones, no smartphones until high school, right?
Beautiful.
So 2, no social media until 16. So your story of your hairdresser, that child is going against what Jonathan Haidt and what I advise, right?
Yeah.
3 is school, no phone-free schools, right? That's 3.
100%. Yep.
And 4 is this amazing thing which he talks about, which is so great, which is more like unsupervised adventure and activities. So kids going out to the park by themselves, walking to the 7-Eleven by themselves, riding their bikes around their neighborhood, not supervised, just living your life, not like outside of sports, because this is what sports is. Sports is great. Huge sports fan. I'm wearing a 49ers hat as we speak, but it's about getting your kids out there. You're not around to live their life and to live adventures. Like here, you want to hear a great story?
Yeah.
One of my VIP members, she came to me yesterday. She said, Sean, I need some help. I said, what's going on? Well, we recently moved from Long Beach to Oregon. You're going to love this story. Oh my gosh, I love this story. And I said, oh my gosh, how's it going? She's going, well, it's going good. But my 15-year-old, here's what he's been doing. Him and his friends have really fallen in love with hiking. So he's going off on these long hikes, hour, 2 hour. And he sometimes leaves without his water bottle. There was one time he told me, Mom, we had the best day. We went off the trail and we were gone for like 4 hours off the trail. And Sean, he's opening up and telling me all these things he's doing with his new friends. And I'm really scared.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out.
I can understand that.
Right. I can too.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like, he doesn't have his water. He doesn't have sunscreen. Right. And like, what if something were to happen to him? Right. Like, I feel like I want to tell him to stop or don't do that. But then I fear that I know my son, that if I were to start saying this, he's not going to open up to me anymore.
Yeah. That's true.
So give me some advice, because I'm having a hard time sleeping. All right. Before I tell you what happens next, what is your take on this story so far?
Okay. So my take is just like that parent. Like, I'm all about it. You know me. Like, I've been out in the woods. I'll say bye to my wife and I'll go. And I've been in some pretty hairy situations where I'm like, dang, if someone were to know what I was doing right now, they'd be like, Jordan, you can never do that again. That is too dangerous. So I would just want to make sure my kids know about navigation. They know to come in before dark. They know to tell someone where they are. Too many times I've heard people being like, they didn't tell anybody where they were going.
Oh my gosh.
So that's where but I love this. I think this is awesome.
The first thing I said in response to her is something like this. Because, I said, oh my gosh, is everyone hearing this? can everyone hear how amazing this story is?
Yeah.
How amazing this parenting is. How amazing this 15-year-old boy is. Yeah. This is what it's all about right here. This is how you solve the problem of kids. This is a dream child right here. A child who's out there living adventure with his buddies, making memories off a screen, and a mother who's letting her son do this and dealing with her own anxiety. I said, this was a Netflix show. Here's what it would be called. SoCal Mom is struggling with her transition of raising an Oregon boy. You're a city girl on the beach, and now you're up in the woods of Oregon, and wow, like this
awesome.
is Americana. I saw a video just yesterday of a parent content creator, and he showed a picture, try to everyone visualize this, everybody, of a child who looks like he's about 9 years old, going off of on their BMX bike, going off of a huge ramp. And the ramp is so big, the child is jumping over a car.
Oh,
and has a helmet on. And in the background, are you ready for this? There's fireworks going off. And the child is 9. And the content creator is saying this right here. This is what it's about. We need more of this. This is childhood memories. This is incredible parenting. This is what we need, everybody. We need our sons and daughters to go on the back of a boat and be pulled in a tube. Something my daughter is going to be doing tomorrow for a birthday party. We need more sons and daughters jumping off of rocks into lakes. We need more people surfing, snowboarding, going on hikes without their parents, or going on hikes with their parents, learning the arts of navigation, going camping, making memories, pushing themselves in sports and activities and family memories. Where it's like there's so many of us that are just kind of wanting to reject all these screens and all these school-issued screens. And then there's still many of us who are like, hey, I want my kid to be into AI. I want them to be really one of the first people. I remember I saw this video, it's a very famous viral video from the founder and the CEO of NVIDIA, which is the most popular stock of the last 2 years. They do a lot of AI. They're doing a lot of technology. They're on the front lines. Very huge company. And he's talking about, hey, if I think all kids should be learning AI. If I had a kid, this is a young child, this is what, he should be doing. And I've thought for a long time how to make a video like rejecting that. It's like, no, our kids, when they're kids, they don't need to be learning AI. They need to be learning how to read, how to write. They need to be learning math, how to shake a hand, how to do chores, how to be brave and courageous, how to find confidence, how to stay healthy, how to eat healthy. Learning AI is definitely not on my top 20 subjects of what I want children to learn or my children to learn. All right, everyone, we've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that we've lost Jordan for the rest of this episode. Because why? So Jordan works for the Weather Channel. You might have seen him. He's one of their premier, if not their number one weatherman on the Weather Channel. And he's located in Maryland, where they sent him to do some news pieces on a potential hurricane that was brewing. It never did come about, but also do some pieces on the beach with lifeguards about rip currents and water safety. So he was in a hotel room during this episode, and that's why our audio may not have been as clean as normal. So we've been playing. With the Wi-Fi, because he kept getting dropped throughout this episode. So we just decided, okay, I'll wrap up today's episode and I'll continue it on and just kind of talk to you and talk to myself about here's some of the other things that I wanted to share with you as we continue on with this podcast episode. So, all right, going back to some action steps. What have we done and talked about so far? So far, we've talked about the importance of sending emails to your principals, your superintendents, about really discouraging the use of screens at home. We've talked about creating a school-only computer for your children. We've talked about reading the many ideas and tools that I offered in my free book, How to Break Screen Addiction and Stop Before It Starts. So I used to sell that book for $15, and I sold many copies to great parents like you. And I just decided about 6 months ago to improve it, to change it, and to give it away for free because I felt like it was just too good of a book, too important of a book. I'm very excited because just yesterday I got off the phone with my team, my book agent, and my book team. And we are just about to start sharing my book with publishers to shop it around to get the book published. So that is really exciting. We have a name for the book. We have a subtitle. And so hopefully you'll be seeing my parenting book on bookshelves everywhere you go in 2026 and beyond. And I'm excited about that. So here is a couple more things that I want us to talk about. You know, in 2016, Common Sense Media did a big survey of teenagers, and they asked teenagers, how do you feel about your phone? How do you feel about screens? Are you screen addicted? So 2016, we're looking at 9 years ago. 9 years ago, everybody, 50% of teenagers said they felt addicted to their mobile devices. Let me say that again. It's just so sad. 50% of teenagers said they felt addicted. In that same study, 3/4 of teens said they felt compelled to immediately respond to text, social media posts, and other notifications. Talk about another action steps is if you do feel like you have to give your child a cell phone or a pad, you demand that they turn off notifications. You've got to control those devices so those devices do not control you or your household. Another action step that I would highly, highly recommend is that no screens are allowed in the bedroom. No TVs, no video games, no iPads. If you want to be on a screen, it has to be out in the living room. If your child loves YouTube, a huge hack, a huge thing that I've learned is that you can watch YouTube, but it has to be on the TV in the living room. If your child enjoys video games, Switch can be a really, really good thing. Just set up some parameters around them. So your kid doesn't have social media, but they have some video game time. Yeah, figure out a way to make that a win-win for you so your child is not saying, I'm feeling addicted to video games, and you help them have a healthy relationship with screens. Here's some really interesting things that I asked the computer. I asked ChatGPT, what are some downsides to these school-issued computers? What is some negative things that people are saying about it? Well, here's what ChatGPT said. 10 things is one is that with the school issued computers or iPads, you get increased screen time. So they already spend a lot of time on phones, tablets, and TVs. And now adding a school laptop is increasing their total daily screen time. This is like what no one is ever talking about. The school gives the child a computer, and then they sit on their bed and they say they're doing homework. And you open the door, and you said, how's it going? What are you doing? And you know what they say? They say homework. And you look at that computer. Are they doing homework? Of course not. They're on a gazillion billion different things that are distracting them from homework. And if that is the way you want to parent, then do it. Don't let me stop you from doing it. But I would not do that. I would not allow your child to spend their childhood in their room, scrolling here, going this computer. Number 2 thing that ChatGPT says is that children have access to inappropriate content. Absolutely. Don't get me started on that. We've done whole episodes on that. Number 3 is decreased focus and attention span. This is what Jonathan Haidt was talking about when he talked about how our kids are getting stupider since 2012. Number 4 is gaming and distractions. Video games can be really fun. I grew up with video games. They were a really fun, positive part of my childhood experience. And so if you allow video games in your home, you better do that, and you do it well. Why let your child have video games on a phone when you can let your child have video games on the big screen at the TV, and you can monitor them and you can set up parental controls on that video game system? Let the controls be the bad cop so you do not have to be the bad cop, the micromanager. Number 5 is negative parts of having school-issued computers is that they become tech dependent and they lack offline skills. Oh my gosh. They lack offline skills because they are on that computer. Number 6, ChatGPT says equity and maintenance challenges. So they break these devices, they get lost, and they can be really frustrating. When I talk about maintenance challenges, the number one thing I think of is how freaking hard it is to put up parental controls on these devices. It's so obnoxious. It's really, really hard, and the kids can find ways of hacking around it. Thank goodness we have a lot. Finally now in 2025 and beyond, we actually have some really good systems that are in place. Like screen time on the Apple devices is a joke. It sucks. I don't recommend it. It should not be used. do something really adequate and purchase a third-party program and put that on that computer, lock it up, check it on a regular basis. Number 7, what ChatGPT says is privacy and data security concerns. School devices may collect data or expose them to tracking and breaches. I'm not super concerned about that. Number 8 is social and emotional issues. Yep, we already know that. Our kids are becoming less social. They're increasing anxiety, increasing depression. It doesn't take a brain scientist to see that. It's everywhere you see it. You walk around the mall, and what do you see? This might sting a little bit. You see a lot of very pale children. A lot of very pale children. A lot of very pale teenagers. You see increased obesity, and you see posture is very unhealthy posture all around our children. Is that how you want to raise your children? With horrible posture, pale, overweight? I hope not. Number 9, it can be a burden on parents and teachers. Duh. And number 10, an over-reliance on digital learning tools, right? They just feel like they have to learn on a computer, or they have to have a computer. Here is what we're going to do next. I asked the computer through Google and ChatGPT. I went down a rabbit holes. Is there any evidence of this? Is there any evidence that the school-issued computer is good for children? Has anyone ever asked that? We've got a whole generation of human beings that are going to school and learning in a way that no other human being in the history of mankind is learning. We have adolescents and children going through social life, going through puberty, going through social skills through screens. This has never been done in the history of mankind. I'm just wondering, is there any research on this? Does the school-issued laptop or iPad increase learning, and is it worth it? Well, I did some learning, and I was very dissatisfied with what I saw. I saw a few studies, not many. I saw a lot of studies that were 10 years old, which is totally outdated for nowadays. I saw studies that were done in different countries, and here's a short little recap of what I saw. Cornell reported on a study, very, very small study. And if you really slow down and look at these studies, you can kind of see with some common sense how they kind of make sense. First, let's talk about the positive. So Cornell reported on a study that was done at a small elementary school, Clarksburg Elementary School, with the help of MoCo Innovation, which is a club that focuses on fostering interest in technology among students. So they were wondering, all right, do digital skills like learning on computers, are they better than traditional methods for learning and for math skills? All right, so slow it down. For math skills, okay, so who did they survey? Did they survey all children, or did they just survey the nerdy math kids? Let's find out. Well, we believe students who use digital skills might improve more in their math skills. All right, fine. To find out, we worked with, how many students did they work with? 30 kids from the school. Who did they work with? Did they work with me when I was that kid? Did they work with the athletes? Did they work with the drama kids? Did they work with the kids who hate learning, the ADHD kids? Well, one group learned math using computers and were able to use interactive math websites, such as Khan Academy, great website, to see how much they improved. We split them to 2 groups and did 2 assessments. After some learning, we gave a post-assessment to see how much they've improved. Here's what our results showed. That the students who use the digital skills improved their test scores 24.2%. All right. So it worked. And while the students who use traditional methods only improved 8.3%. All right. So they both improved. These results show that the digital tools are superior to teaching methods for especially subjects like math. Kind of makes sense. Math is pretty boring for most kids. And so it would make sense using colors, using an app. It would make sense. But does that mean it makes sense for everybody? When was the study done? 2016. All right. Who did they pick on? Well, it looks like they chose the kids who were already interested in math and technology. Right? Makes sense. couple more stats and research reports that I found that I want to tell you. This is very interesting. This is a little bit wordy, so hang with me. So OLPC programs showed that large-scale programs, like there's this big program called One Laptop Per Child, and they did this in different countries like Uruguay and Peru. Huge study. Here's the background of this. All right. This was implemented in over 40 countries, this program. A large-scale experimental evaluation of the OLPC program in Peru was done. Let's hear about some of the details of this. So studies at the university level. Here is what was redone. We report that an experimental study, 15 months long, was done, examining the long-term effects of this program. And we did a sample of 531 schools over 10 years. All right. I know I'm not communicating very well or with a lot of detail right now, so have grace for me. Here's a couple direct stats and quotes from this. Long-term research of the One Laptop Per Child program reveals that providing laptops to students did not have a positive impact on educational outcomes, likely driven by lacks of effort on cognitive skills and limited classroom adoption. Right? So let's go to older kids. Studies at the university level have often found that the laptop's use is negatively associated with grades, especially when the use isn't structured by class format. In one study, grades dropped by about 0.14 to 0.37 grade points among students using laptops for non-class related purposes. I mean, I haven't been to college since the early 2000s and the late 90s, but when you see pictures and videos of people in, lectures, you see everyone's got a laptop, it's all open, and a lot of kids are just screwing around on their laptop. Here's what I Googled next. I Googled this. Does Google have salespeople? I asked the internet, does Google have a team that sends out salesmen and women to school districts to try to sell them computers? Do you guys know any salespeople in your life? Any professional salesmen? If you ask them, what do you do for a living? They say, I'm in sales. I know a lot. I got to tell you, the salespeople I know, they're some of the best people I know. I mean, they're so good with people. They're charming, they're normal, they're flexible, they're hardworking, and most of the salespeople I know are financially successful. I think sales is a great career. I think that selling something is always going to be there. It's always important. Every company needs good salespeople. I'll tell you right now, if I was hanging out with a bunch of Google nerds, people who worked for Google, I know who I'm going to try to hang out with. I'm going to try to hang out with the salespeople. They're going to be so charming. So you've got some of the best, most social, most best people in the whole world. The best of the best salespeople are working for tech companies. And what do? Well, now they're traveling from Palo Alto, California, Silicon Valley. I was just there 2 days ago. They are traveling from their multi-million-dollar homes in the Silicon Valley. And where do they fly to? Well, they fly to small town Kansas. They fly to the little town in the middle of Missouri. They fly to New York City. They fly to Los Angeles School District and San Diego, and they fly to North Dakota, and they fly to Maine, and they fly to Texas, and they get off the plane in their very expensive outfits, and they go to a very fancy hotel, and they have their dream team of 4 people. And then here's what they probably do. They have a meeting with the school board and the superintendent, and man, they knock their socks off. And then they probably take them to a steak dinner, and they probably give them free wine, and they wine them and they dine them, and they play golf, and then they go here, and then maybe, I don't know how it works. Maybe they say, hey, come on down to Mexico, Cancun, and we'll give you a presentation. I don't know. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. And here you are. You are a good-hearted school board member, and you're getting paid $1,000 a year, volunteering your time to help children, and you are won over by slides, by PowerPoint presentations, by fancy suits, and by very jaded stats. And then they tell you, hey, if you buy these computers from your school, this is what's going to happen to you. This is what's going to improve your kids' learning. This is how it's going to improve families, improve your whole district. This is the future. And if you don't do this, then you're going to be left behind. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the pressure? And let's say you're old school and say, no, we're good. We're good. Do you realize like how hard that would be to say no to Google, to say no to Apple, the pressure? And then they probably come back, just like you're at a timeshare presentation. And they say, okay, you said no. How about this deal? And then you say no again. And you know what? I mean, is there a chance that they are giving away free devices to these school districts? Sure. Is there a chance that they're giving them, all right, take these devices and also take this $50,000 check, but then give us your word that in 2 years you'll buy from us? There's just got to be so many deals. The art of the deal. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, I don't know what happens with these fancy dinners, but here's what I believe doesn't happen. Okay, I'm glad you purchased these computers from us. So here's what we need to do next. Now we're going to show you how to teach all the parents in your community about our app, which is called Family Link. And we're going to show you how to protect families from screen addiction, from screwing children up on these devices. Do you think that this meeting happens? We just heard from Jordan that he wasn't aware of it. And Jordan is a professional parent podcaster. He is making a podcast once a week on my show with me. He gets paid. We make money from this podcast. I give him money. He's a professional parent podcaster. He wasn't even aware of this, and he's highly informed. He's such an amazing man, an amazing dad. So can you imagine how many parents aren't even aware of what their children are looking at or what it's going? So if you have a Google Chromebook in your home, here's what I want you to please do. For the sake of your children, your grandchildren, I need you to install the Family Link app. I need you to supervise your child's account. I need to follow up the directions. I need to manage their directions. If your children have Snapchat or YouTube or TikTok, it's not too late to say, no, we changed our mind. We're going to wait until you're 16 to do this. If your child is making poor choices with their cell phone, well, then it's time for you to replace that phone with a Bark phone or a flip phone. I'm a huge fan of the flip phone. And please read my free book, How to Break Screen Addiction and Stop It Before It Starts. And do this. The school-only computer. Make it happen in your home so that when they're sitting on their bed and they say, I'm doing homework, and then you walk over to see what they're looking at, you know what you're going to find? You're going to find homework. You're going to find schoolwork. You're not going to find them looking at stupid stuff online or immoral or wrong stuff. Oh, my gosh. I love you. Thank you for letting me be in your life. Thank you for letting me share this information, this inspiration in my heart with you. Shout out to all you first grade teachers at Elk Grove School District that are saying no to the school issued computers. Shout out to every parent who's fighting the good fight to raise our children the right way without abusing and letting our children become addicted and immersed in a digital childhood experience. Stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom. If you want any more help with me or private sessions or join my VIP membership, you know where to find me.